Yo, what's up, guys? It's Induogaming.com here. This is E3 2016, and it is I, Robert Rodriguez, along with the other half, Nicholas Rodriguez. Say what's up, man.
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
We just saw the EA press conference. First thoughts, I thought it was actually pretty cool. It was interesting. EA is a pretty cool studio. What were your thoughts so far on the conference, Nicholas?
The EA one I thought was pretty good. I mean, last year they had a little bit more stuff with, like, the part where you get the game off the cloud and stuff like that. But this year they had the what's it called? Mass Effect, and then Titanfall 2 was like the biggest thing to me, which I thought was a pretty good thing. So I liked it a lot.
Yeah, I mean, starting off, the first thing right off the bat, they started off with Titanfall 2. They showed a multiplayer gameplay trailer, and my goodness, didn't that trailer look freaking legit?
Oh yeah,
like it was all over the place. It was action packed. It was fast. Like it didn't seem like it slowed down whatsoever. What did you think of the trailer?
Well, I could kind of compared it to how the original Titanfall was, and it was a lot different, like a lot more intense, and it was just amazing. And like how they had the grappling hook also, and like how you transferred to both of them. Just that everything was just like way more better than the first one, like way more. I love the action.
For sure. That grappling hook actually looks like something that we will talk about later on, if you know what I'm talking about. Came out in a different game, in a different conference, but that would be for later times. After the multiplayer gameplay trailer, they showed a little bit of campaign, which is the first within the series. As we all know, the first Titanfall didn't have a campaign whatsoever, which kind of was a little letdown. They were trying to be more of a multiplayer-centric game. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, I guess they were trying to just go with multiplayer and not really focus on... I think they were kind of going for like more of a Call of Duty thing, since no one really on Call of Duty plays a campaign. But yeah, that's what they were going for on the first one. But,
I mean...
A lot more people were wanting more story on it, because the story actually seemed really cool. Like, it would be really cool if they did a story, so I'm glad they did another one.
Oh, yeah. So supposedly they said that the Titans have more of like there's the robotic Titans, and I'm pretty sure you know about this a little bit more than I do, but the Titans can either be just this robot that you can utilize and use, and then it seemed like the other ones were like supernatural beings, like they had their own entities within them. And I don't know if you caught this, but the Titan that was talking within the campaign trailer kind of sounded like Optimus Prime a little bit. Did you get that?
Yeah, I actually, that was the exact same thing I thought, but a little bit like lighter voice. That's what I thought too. I liked it a lot, and I like how they give the Titans more character. And then the first one where they're just like robots, there's nothing to them, but I like how they gave more of a feeling to them, so I like that a lot.
I think as we've seen within the Call of Duty franchise, they kind of keep things a little bit more grounded. As we know that Black Ops 3 was obviously a little over the top, and they keep going a little bit more over the top as they go. Of course, with Infinite Warfare being in outer space. But I think the way that Titanfall is going to change more compared to your Call of Duties and your Battlefield is that it seems like it's not only like action-based and kind of sci-fi, but also seems a little bit supernatural, right?
Yeah, I agree with that. Totally.
Yeah, I mean, that's a different take. And the gameplay looks phenomenal. Like you said about that grappling hook, that like they added this sense of mobility that causes you to go faster and faster. Yeah. And I feel like with Titanfall, they've been pushing the boundaries when it comes to first-person shooters. When they first started off with the jetpack, we all know that the jetpack that was used in Black Ops 3 and Advanced Warfare was obviously taken from Titanfall 1.
Yeah.
And then
also I feel like, I don't know if a lot of other games, but I think Titanfall kind of like mained the wall crawling on it. I feel like Call of Duty took quite a bit from that too. So. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I agree. And the grappling hook also was a new invention that they added, which gave this other extra dynamic for faster mobility. And I love the way it looked to where there's that last scene at the very end of the gameplay trailer where two players from opposite teams were up in the air, and one of them used a grappling hook to pull the guy towards him, and he knocked him out. Like, I thought that was legit. Like, it's going to be really, really tense. Those battles are going to be legit.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say about Titanfall 2?
I'd like one other thing about the grappling hook is that how you can also like get to the Titans faster. I saw that part in the trailer where he's just running around, then he jumps up and then he gets in the Titan and starts shooting. And then also the Titans I saw have a little bit more abilities to it, like where this guy had this like humongous laser which like self-destructs it but kills the other guy too. That was really cool, but yeah, I feel like the first Titanfall was sort of like incomplete and wasn't like super satisfying, but this one feels like they actually got a complete form of Titanfall to it. Really
For sure. Cool. Yeah, I mean, I agree, and that's actually a good point. They did say that the Titans are going to have more abilities. There are going to be different suits in this one. And what was it? Another thing to point out was that the original Titanfall was an Xbox exclusive. Titanfall 2 is going to be for PC, if I'm not mistaken, Xbox and PS4.
Yeah.
So now PS4 players will be able to get their hands on Titanfall 2 when before they actually weren't. So I think this is really cool because as we like Call of Duty is kind of like the forefront FPS game for Sony. And we see Titanfall kind of being like the forefront FPS for Xbox. But it would be kind of cool to see the way which one does better in sales, Titanfall 2 or or Infinite Warfare. My bad. So we'll see that later on. But the second thing that they went to in the conference was NFL. They talked a little bit about these different competitions, and I feel like one thing that EA does that's different amongst other companies is that they love to be so centered on their multiplayer aspect of competitions. Would you agree?
Yeah, like I really liked how they did that actually competition thing though, because it got more into pro gaming. And that's kind of what sport. I've never seen a sports game actually doing that. And as for them to do that is actually really cool. For the first time, I've seen that.
Oh yeah, I mean, I myself am not much of an NFL player, but I mean, what they showed was cool, and the whole competitions thing doesn't only affect NFL; it also talks about Battlefield and just different what's the word I'm looking for? Just different properties that EA holds. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, but is there anything else you want to say about the NFL or?
Nah, I mean, I like how they're getting into the pro gaming part. That's what I like about it. But I mean, that was the only thing they really talked about. That was coming to the change in the NFL thing. But actual in-game change, I don't think there was that many.
Yeah, and then after NFL, they talked about Mass Effect Andromeda running on Frostbite engine. It kind of seems as if everything EA centered is going to be running off of Frostbite.
Yeah.
They kind of gave a little bit of behind-the-scenes look. They talked about it's going to be a new cast of characters, and I mean, I'm gonna say the visuals on this game look outstanding. Like, it looks like a beautiful game. I myself have never played the original Mass Effect, but this game kind of gives me like a little draw. Like, man, you should play this. And so I'm kind of leaning to. I'm probably gonna touch this game later on in the future.
Yeah, totally. And I heard that it's like, not even a part of the other series, like the first three.
Right.
So I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with this story and how it's good. Because I've heard that the first three were like really good stories. So I wonder if this one's gonna have a good story or not.
Right. And after that, they touched a little bit on EA Play. They talked about this new program that they had called Play to Give. It's I think where they have in-game challenges. So the games that they have, Battlefront, Battlefield, NFL, FIFA, different games that they had, they're going to have in-game challenges. And when you do those, it helps charities. And so, I mean, which is a cool idea. I mean, I enjoy seeing big developers, big companies, wanting to help other people. What was kind of funny was that at the end of when he was talking about that, you literally just hear one clap from the entire audience. You just hear one, and that's it. And I was like, oh boy. Yeah, that dude, he got off that stage fast. Yeah. After EA Play, they talked about FIFA 17. One thing that I noticed was that they're kind of bringing a little bit of the NBA 2K kind of story-driven campaign
Yeah.
to FIFA, right? Like
Yeah.
it's something different. And I know you played NBA, so I'll let you talk a little bit more about that. What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, because in the 2K16, with the first game that actually had like a sort of like intense and emotional story, and I actually liked it instead of you just going from college and then going to like there was no cutscenes or anything like that. But in this one, you have a story about family and friends, and in the story, like spoiler alert, one guy dies, and I just really liked it a lot and gave more emotion to it. But in this one, I liked it because it's also giving more emotion and story to it. And I think it's also basing off of I don't know for sure, but I feel like it was based off of that player's story.
Right.
So I'm liking how they're gonna do that too. So I like that.
Yeah, I mean they announced it's running off a Frostbite engine. I thought that the I thought that the graphics to it they look good, but I think they could have been better.
Yeah.
And this kind of raised some questions for me as to like, is how is Frostbite utilized amongst different developers within the EA group of people? You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
Because whenever I see gameplay of Battlefield One, which we will talk about a little bit later, the graphics of that look phenomenal. But when I
Oh
see
yeah.
this, it's like some of the visual aesthetics as to like the way the face looks and the way the people move and their facial expressions kind of seemed a little bit more robotic compared to Battlefield, which seemed a little bit more human like. Would you agree?
Yeah, totally. And I can see like it kind of exactly like 2K16, but I felt like they could have done it because even in 2K16, I was like more. I don't know, like they put sweat on them, and like you can see like the shininess on their face, and it just really looks realistic. But this one didn't have too much of a upgrade than the other ones, so
Right. And then they just talked a lot about soccer, about different things. I have actually have no idea what they were talking
oh yeah,
about. Um, not a big FIFA player, but what they showed was really cool.
yep,
After that, they led into this new thing that EA is going to start doing, and I really really loved this idea. It's giving indie developers a chance to make games, and everything that they keep, every profit that they make, they keep.
mm.
And this new thing is going to be called EA Originals, and I actually really really like this idea. Would you agree on that?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't understand most of it. Can you like explain it to me a little bit? Because
Yeah. So the way they talked about it was that so indie developers, let's just say there's an indie developer in Austin, Texas, and I guess what they would do is they would approach EA, or EA would approach them. I don't know how that will work yet, but they would help that indie team make this game, and whatever money that they get from this game, the indie developer keeps it all. Like EA doesn't get it. You know what I'm saying?
okay, yeah,
So, I mean, the first game that they showed was called Fee,
oh yeah,
by a company named Zoink in
mm.
Sweden,
Yeah,
and it seems as if you're one of these creatures in this weird polygonal world. It kind of seemed the aesthetic of the game seemed weird and cool at the same time. Um, it did seem as if in the trailer the game did need a little bit more polish, so it seemed like it was an early version of the game.
mm.
But the game seemed very indie-like. It didn't
Yeah,
seem like no AAA game, but in the core of it all, I think it's just cool seeing EA wanting to help these smaller developers rise up to make these games that they want to make.
yeah, and I can see how every year, like last year, EA came out with Unravel, I believe it was.
Right, right, right.
And I feel like we're gonna be able to expect more every single year of indie game that they're gonna come out with. And now that they're doing that, EA Originals, I think they'll have a little bit more to also release other than just one game. And that Fee game actually looked really interesting, and like the story and everything like that. And it kind of reminded me a little bit of Unravel, where you're like, I don't know, it just reminded a little bit about it. And I loved it a lot. It just seemed like a cool story and everything, and like the interaction with it, and it looked really good. I liked it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Unraveled had mixed reviews. We don't know how Fee would do, but as time goes by, I know they'll probably be showing more and more about this game. But I really hope this game actually is something really special, because as we know, AAA games are amazing, but sometimes you do need that indie experience to just give you that more of an artistic push. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah, like a lot of indie games are some of like the best titles there. It's like Journey is one of them, which I played a little bit of and I actually liked it a lot. That was one of my favorite games.
Yeah. And so next they talked about Star Wars, which was not exactly talking about a new IP. They weren't
Yeah,
talking about any game in specific, but they're just talking about how EA as a whole is making a bunch of different Star Wars games amongst all their developers,
yeah.
but also just tweaking some other games. And one thing that stood out to me was that in 2018, Visceral Games is making a new Star Wars game, and the person who's writing this is Amy Henning, which this woman wrote Uncharted 1, 2, and 3.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and she was writing 4, but then I don't know if you remember there was that conflict when they brought Neil Druckmann and Bruce Straley on, that uh, Amy Henning left Naughty Dog
Yeah,
and
I heard about
went,
that.
yeah, and she went with this game company, and so she is writing the story to this new Star Wars game, and they kind of showed like this little piece of concept art,
Mm.
and right out the bat, I thought to myself, is this going to be Star Wars 1313?
Mm. Yeah, was it the third person one or how did it look?
Right.
Because they showed like five different ones. Was it the third person one?
Yeah, it was like the very first piece of concept art that they showed, and I
Okay.
don't know if a couple years ago they actually showed a what looked like a gameplay of Star Wars 1313, which actually had this real kind of Uncharted feel to it, third person
Hmm.
game. It seemed like the way it moved, the way it looked, kind of had a lot of Uncharted feel to it, and so bringing Emmy Henning on, who obviously writes great stories. Uncharted is one of the best games within,
Oh
gaming
yeah.
history. Um, I think it's cool to see someone like her come in and make a Star Wars game, which is something that we really, really need. And
Yeah.
so, I'm really
Yeah.
excited about that.
I'm excited about that too because like I remember 1313 when it like kind of got a little bit announced and there was like a little bit of pictures and stuff like that. And it looked very like I don't know like mature to it, so like a little bit more to the adult fans and teenagers. But I liked it how the concept of it. So I hopefully we'll get something like that, and it'll be. I bet it will be good.
Yeah, and then they kind of just showed a little bit of behind the scenes video, just the different companies working on different stuff. It's cool. There's some games on there that I really don't care much about,
Yeah.
but they did talk about how I guess there's I'm not sure if I heard correctly, but is there a new Battlefront that's going to be released? Because the woman that was talking before the video went up kind of made it seem as if they're listening to the fans. They know what the fans want, and they're going to give them what they want.
Mm.
Were they just talking about updates for the Battlefront game, or do you think it was like a new Battlefront game that they're going to make?
Well, what I've been seeing from like news wise, like I haven't seen anything about that, but I heard they are making like a third person game, like top down, and then I think they released a trailer a few days ago of another game, Star Wars game, and it was kind of like tower defense type of game. So I don't
Okay,
know. I don't know exactly if it's gonna be Battlefront, but yeah.
gotcha. And finishing off the EA conference was none other than Battlefield 1. And by golly, George. Dude, does this game not look great or
Oh,
what?
oh yeah, totally. Like I just loved how. I spent one moment that really catch my eyes when in the trailer when they're like destroying that blimp and then it just falls down and just like this whole explosion just goes and that's like in-game footage, man. Oh man, it just looks amazing
I
and
mean,
like so epic.
starting right off at the very beginning, with that little cutscene, right at the bottom it said in-game footage, and I truly believe this is the in-game footage.
Mm,
Like this game is almost getting set to release, and the graphics to it gave me like this Saving Private Ryan kind of feel. I was like, I can't wait for this campaign, because I know for a fact like this campaign is has to be good.
yeah,
And if
totally.
it isn't good, then I know for a fact that multiplayer is going to be good. And I
Mm,
know that you've played more Battlefield than I have.
yeah.
I never really touched that much on Battlefield. When I did play Battlefield 4, which was a little bit,
Mm,
um, I did appreciate the time that they put into making these grand maps and everything. but the maps seem to be a little empty, if you know what I'm saying. Like, it just seemed vacant, and just like this random war was going on there. But by the video of Battlefield 1, it seemed like, yeah, it seems like it's a massive map, but like, there seems like there's so much stuff going on, and you feel like you're in a real war. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know you did play Battlefield 4, and so going from Battlefield 4 to Battlefield 1, what do you think is, how do you think the changes are going to be on all that?
Yeah, in Battlefield 4, there was like a lot of like what you can do, but there wasn't that much like environment to it. But in this one, it seems like there's a whole lot of environment. Like you see the rocks going all over the place, and then like there's parts where you can hide, and then there's the blimps and all that, and there's the houses everywhere. It just seems like super good, and I feel like the graphics inside of I played some of the campaign in number 4, and graphics in it were really good, and they actually lived up to like the trailer, how everyone was expecting to it, and Battlefield has usually lived up to what it's been known for, so I feel like this one is going to be really good, totally, and it's just going to be super epic. I can't wait for it. It's the one we've been all been waiting for, totally.
Oh yeah, for sure. This is the war game that everyone's been waiting for, and I mean there were some parts within the game that just seem like it's just raw, dark, gritty, like fighting. Like this dude with like this like hatchet just like hits this guy within the chest, blood coming out, trench warfare. It just looked so good. And I loved how there's this one scene where your character's in like this motorcycle, and he's shooting these guys, and when you looking through the first person eyes of the character, as they were riding in the motorcycle, like I was looking at the road, and you can see like the coals of like hot, like burning coals on the floor, radiating off of like just the floor. And I was just like, this is so realistic. Like they just the little like pieces of texture here and lighting here, like they really took their time on this game. And when that blimp came down, like you can see environmental destruction. Like when it came down, the buildings underneath it crashed, crumbled, and like it started making me think like, anyone who's underneath that blimp, are they just gonna die? You know what I'm saying? Like if you're fighting, all of a sudden you look up and like, oh my goodness, this blimp is like 5 feet away from me. Boom, dead. Like that'd be legit. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, totally.
And the dog fights look so good. I like just the visuals of all this. It's just, oh my gosh, I can't wait for this game, man. Like for sure, we're getting this game.
Yeah, like Battlefield, like when it started with Battlefield 1, everyone was excited for it. There was like really cool vehicles, and number 2 came out. They put more environment to it, and then number 3 was good. It was a little bit good, and then number 4, when number 4 came out, that was kind of like their biggest one, where like everything was complete. There was a huge maps, great vehicles, and everything. But like this one seems like 2.0. I don't know. It just seems really good. I can't wait for it.
Yeah, and it seems cool. I can't wait to see the competition between Battlefield 1 and Infinite Warfare. Both of them being totally opposite from each other. One in the future, one in the past. So, I mean, we will see how that battle works out. But in all honesty, I honestly feel as though Battlefield 1 will triumph over Infinite Warfare.
Yeah, I agree to that, totally. Especially like graphic wise and all the weapon wise, like just everything is just totally good.
Oh yeah,
and especially on the campaign too, like that's totally gonna crush it, big time.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's EA's press conference. Do you have any last words? Any final thoughts on the conference and how it went?
I thought it was good. I mean, I feel like they could have released a little bit more stuff, but those 2 games with Battlefield 1 and Titanfall 2, they were just like. They were good enough just to show those 2, so I like that. Those 2 are gonna be great. I know. So
yeah,
they have a good
sure.
year. They have a good year ahead of them. So
yeah, I mean it was good. They released some good games. I really don't care much about for NFL or FIFA.
Yeah.
Not much of a fan of Mass Effect, but it did grab my attention. But I would have to say that the highlight for EA's press conference for me had to have been Battlefield 1. Your highlight? What do you think your highlight was?
Titanfall, big time.
Titanfall.
Like I just love that game, and I feel like this one is just gonna be a complete version of it, and it's gonna be super satisfying, and it's just gonna be great.
Oh yeah, for sure. Well, there you go, guys. This is Induogaming here for E3 2016, covering EA press conference. Stay tuned. We're going to be covering Bethesda conference later on. Following that will be Microsoft, Ubisoft, Sony, and Nintendo. So, yep. This is me, Robert Rodriguez, and Nicholas Rodriguez, and we are out. Stay tuned, guys.